One individual has been charged in regards to her homicide,
murder, forced prostitution, even child kidnapping. As police investigators connected the criminal dots, many led them to BC casinos.
We need to have questions answered. How far did this go?
Behind the bright lights of Canada's casinos, beyond the ringing slot machines and velvet card tables, lies a story that exposes a darker game, one built on greed, corruption, and betrayal. They called it the provincial casino heist, but it wasn't a smash and grab or a masked robbery. This was quieter, smarter, and far more dangerous. It began in British Columbia, a province where the line between legal gaming and organized crime had blurred beyond recognition. A confidential RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police report from 2009, buried for years, revealed the shocking truth. A businessman with connections to Asian organized crime had been allowed by a provincial government employee to buy part of a BC Lottery Corporation casino. And that same employee was later hired inside a casino. This wasn't a rumor. It was documented in black and white. The RCMP's anti-illegal gaming unit, known as IIGET, warned that organized crime had infiltrated both legal and underground casinos, using them to launder dirty money from drugs, loan sharking, and extortion.
The report also outlines outrageous examples of possible casino money laundering, red flagged about a decade before the problem hit its peak in this province. One subject buying $4.8 million in casino chips over 5 years. Another purchasing nearly $3.3 million in chips in just 1 year.
You have to question what actions did regulators, police, politicians take.
Former Crown Prosecutor Sandy Garasino says this report kills any notion government naively thought money laundering was a victimless crime.
And Mr. Coleman kept saying, oh, nothing to see here. That report is absolutely is the nail in the coffin on any argument that he didn't know.
Coleman would eventually replace IGET with another task force, but not until April of 2016, leaving many to wonder what horrific crimes were committed, with no one connecting the dots. John Hua, Global News.
The report described a dirty economic loop where even legitimate casino staff directed gamblers to loan sharks and criminal gaming houses. The lines were gone. The house itself had become part of the game. The report detailed the human fallout. Women with gambling debts in Asia were trafficked to BC, forced into sex work to pay off what they owed. Children were abducted and stuffed into car trunks, told their fathers owed hundreds of thousands of dollars to a casino-linked loan shark. In one chilling case, an 8-year-old girl and her 6-year-old brother were kidnapped at gunpoint because their father owed $300,000 to a casino-linked loan shark. Another victim was stabbed and dumped by the roadside after being unable to pay a $30,000 debt. Despite the evidence, the RCMP's anti-illegal gaming unit was quietly disbanded. Instead of investigating deeper, funding was cut. The watchdog was muzzled. Former prosecutor Sandy Garasino called it shocking to the conscience, a collapse of oversight, a revolving door of government employees moving into the casino industry they once regulated. And while BC's corruption festered in the West, in Ontario, the story took a new turn. The Ontario Police Province were called in quietly. What they uncovered looked like something out of a movie. A dealer, trusted to represent the house, was allegedly working with a group of players. Together, they'd found a way to tilt the odds. Video footage showed subtle signals: a tap on the table, a pause during a shuffle, a chip stack arranged just so. The dealer wasn't just running a game. They were sending coded messages. Each round earned only a few $100s, but repeated night after night, it became thousands. This wasn't luck, it was choreography. And behind the scenes, there was more. Investigators found that the same playbook used to rig games was also being used to wash money. Millions of dollars flowing through casinos in plain sight. Ontario regulators began connecting dots the public never saw. They saw the patterns, the cash transactions, the same names surfacing again and again.
Minister Eby undertook a review by appointing Peter German to investigate money laundering in the casino sector. You're all aware of the findings of Mr. German. Many of you would have seen the images of hockey bags full of cash being used and laundered through our casinos here in British Columbia. We responded to that. We took steps to fix gaming policy enforcement. We addressed some changes to the board at the BC Lottery Corporation in an attempt to get money laundering out of that sector.
In response, Ontario regulators introduced new rules, a direct strike against the tide of dirty money. Casinos were now required to maintain detailed logs on anyone conducting more than $3,000 in transactions, verify where the money came from, and report any red flags from money laundering. If a patron's funds looked suspicious, the casino was obligated to refuse the cash altogether. The new rules took effect in early 2022, a year when suspicious cash transactions hit levels higher than before the pandemic. In 2019, Ontario recorded $334 million in questionable transactions. By 2022, that number had risen to $372 million, over $1 million a day in flagged cash. It wasn't just an Ontario problem. British Columbia had already introduced similar measures after realizing their casinos were being used as laundromats for transnational crime, washing drug money that was later invested into Vancouver's booming real estate market. The parallel was unmistakable. Two provinces, two systems, both vulnerable to the same predators. Meanwhile, in BC, the list of victims kept growing. A casino employee turned loan shark was murdered outside Richmond's River Rock Casino. A gambling debt led to another killing. An online gaming operator was shot dead in his car. These weren't isolated events. They were symptoms of a system where organized crime thrived under regulation's blind eye. And while the money flowed through chips and cages, the social cost was immeasurable. Families destroyed, victims silenced, communities hollowed out by corruption. Former investigators said the signs were obvious: hockey bags full of small bills, high rollers exchanging piles of dirty 20s for clean $1,000 notes. It was a system that let criminals buy legitimacy, one chip at a time. And for years, regulators, politicians, and casino executives looked away. The provincial casino heist wasn't a single night's crime. It was years of deception, an inside job on an institutional scale. The house didn't just lose, it became part of the game.